Hi, welcome to ShowMeTheCurry.com. I'm Hital.
I'm Anuja, and today we're going to show you how to make chicken Kathi rolls. Now, if you're anywhere or if you've ever been to Delhi, you know what I'm talking about when I say Nizams or Kathis from Nizams. Absolutely world famous and just out of this world. So this is our ode to Nizams.
And pretty simple recipe. Let's get started.
So we have 1 tablespoon of oil heating up over here, and we've already gone ahead and prepped up our chicken. It's 1.5 pounds of boneless, skinless thighs, and we've cut them to bite-sized pieces. It's washed, rinsed, and ready to go. And the oil is hot.
We're going to add half a cup of finely chopped onions. So of course this is a two-step process, so we're working on the filling first. 1 teaspoon of minced ginger, 1 teaspoon of minced garlic, and a little bit of salt to help the onions cook faster.
Now we're just going to cook this till the onions get a little color. So it's been about 2-3 minutes. The onions are translucent and they've got a little bit of color. Perfect indicator.
Perfect time to add our half cup of chopped tomatoes. And we're going to cook the tomatoes until the oil starts separating from the mixture.
Okay, this looks done. The oil is starting to separate. Looks fantastic. And now we're going to add in the spices.
1/4 teaspoon turmeric powder, 1/2 teaspoon garam masala, 1/2 teaspoon red chili powder or to taste, 1/2 teaspoon cumin powder, 1 teaspoon coriander powder, and 1 teaspoon of chaat masala.
Mix it really quickly so that the spices don't burn. And now we're ready for the chicken.
This is 1.5 pounds.
Now just mix in the masala really well.
And while you're doing that, you can also put a little bit of salt.
Alright, once you're going to mix it well, and once the chicken kind of starts changing color, you can see, we're just going to cover it and allow it to cook, and basically want the chicken to cook all the way through. And in between, just keep opening it up, mixing it around, because there is no water. Now the reason why we've not added any water is we want it to remain dry.
And we're going to cover it and let the chicken cook all the way through. So while the chicken is cooking, we're going to work on our rotis. And here we have 1 cup of Chapati Atta or whole wheat flour and 1/2 cup of all-purpose flour or maida. And we're going to add to this 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt and mix it. And 1 tablespoon of oil.
And we're going to break an egg into this.
And basically we're going to incorporate the egg into the dry flour.
Over here I have a little cup with warm water in it, and I'm just going to add 1 tablespoon at a time just to get to the right consistency. I'm just going to keep an eye on this as well.
So that took about 7 tablespoons, which is just a little shy of 1/2 cup. And we'll need this for 1 to 2 minutes. And once the dough comes together, as always, we're going to drizzle a little bit of oil just so it doesn't form a skin. And coat it well.
And I've been keeping an eye on the chicken. We don't want it to fly off or burn. Okay.
And we'll cover and keep this, let it rest until the chicken finishes cooking.
There you go, that looks good. It's coming along. Break a little piece and see if it's done. Yep, beautiful. But now I'm going to leave it open and allow it to dry up just a little bit. We don't want any gravy in this particular for this particular application. And this has been cooking for 10 minutes. This looks done. It looks fantastic. The gravy is dried up and it's not super dry also. So I'm going to turn it off and leave it to the side and start working on the roti part of it. Okay, now we're ready to start working on the actual Kathi kebab, that is the roti and the filling. The filling is kind of done. and it's still warm, so very important to make sure it is warm. And to this we're going to add some sliced onion just before we start rolling out the rotis. So this gives a wonderful crunch. It'll cook just a little bit once it mixes in the warm chicken, but you don't want them to become very limp. And we're going to add some green chilies and tons of cilantro. Last but not the least, some fresh lime juice. Yum.
Yummy. Now the onions were chopped or sliced really, really thin, so I think that helps it not be overpowering, but it just gives you this wonderful fresh texture.
And just give it a mix.
So let's check on our dough and give it one more knead. So the texture of this is very similar to Chapati Atta, maybe just a little bit softer, but approximately the same. Now this much proportion will make approximately around about 8 Kathi Rolls. So what you want to do is divide your dough out into 8 portions, and you want to divide your filling out into 8 portions so that everybody gets an equal amount of the filling.
Right.
So we're going to take one of our dough balls and flatten it out. And we also have some extra all-purpose flour or maida here that we can dip this in to help us roll it easier. It won't stick to the surface.
And I have prepared myself. Over here there's a tawa. It's already nice and hot and very important. And I also have some eggs that I've just broken and beaten up. You don't need to make it super fluffy or anything. You just beat it with a fork. That should be good. And now here's an optional step. Once your roti is done on the tawa, you can, kind of put an egg on it and kind of cook it with that, and then put the stuffing in, filling in it, and then roll it up. But if you're not too fond of eggs this way, you can just skip it. So choice is yours.
And I'm rolling this actually thinner than your normal chapatis, so just a little bit thinner, and it makes it a little bit bigger as well.
That's why the maida helps in rolling it out even more. So that's why we're using maida for dusting as opposed to atta.
And we're going to lift this up and place it on our really hot tawa.
Just move it around. It'll just cook for like a minute, not even a minute. You'll start seeing the bubbles appear, and once the dough has kind of changed color, it's perfect time to flip it. So it's semi-cooked, actually almost cooked over here, so I'm going to add a little bit of egg on this. And smear it with a fork. It'll just help spread the egg all over. Just give it a minute and we're going to flip it around. Now the egg is going to fall down, and that's okay, there's no way to avoid it. Just take it. And then you just take oil and put it around so that the egg gets cooked and doesn't stick to the pan. Okay, just loosen the egg. And then just take your oil, just a little bit, smear it on this side so when you flip it again, it does not dry up. Flip it down, around again, there you go. And we'll just let it cook on the underside just for a little less than a minute. This looks fantastic. It's done on that side, we're just going to put it on the plate. Ooh, hot, hot, hot. And we'll just take a portion of our pie that we've divided into 8 parts. There you go, just put the amount of chicken you want.
And we also have some coriander chutney. You can use mint chutney if you have, or coriander, anything. And this also gives it a nice fresh taste. And roll. This is pretty soft to roll, and as tight as possible. And be careful, it's still hot. And there we go.
Ta-da!
Kathi roll, ready to enjoy.
So we'll just carry on with the process, and of course they're best had hot. right off the stove. But don't burn yourself. So enjoy your Kathi roll and join us again on another episode of ShowMeTheCurry.com.
Adding a pinch of spice to your life.